Hello and welcome to our roundup of the European Parliament's latest plenary session here in Strasbourg. The week saw action on the EU budget, financial, farm and consumer reforms, as well as preparations for next year's European parliamentary elections. We begin with a budget battle. With broad support across party lines, the Parliament said it would not accept the new 7-year spending plan as it was approved at the last EU summit.
Mit einem solchen Haushalt bestimmte
With such a budget, certain European priorities cannot be financed, and we must say that openly and clearly. It's not enough, and with it we can't reach the collective target, spending 3% of GDP in Europe for research and development.
Für Forschung und Entwicklung schaffen wir damit nicht.
MEPs say the spending plan for 2014 to 2020 shortchanges infrastructure projects and other objectives aimed at reaching the 2020 goal of a more competitive and productive European economy. Among their demands, maximum flexibility to transfer unused funds between different categories and years, and the power to fund the EU budget from its own tax revenues. The MEPs also took action aimed at averting another financial crisis. The so-called two-pack measures boost oversight of national budgets, a very sensitive issue to many. The two-pack strengthens the Stability and Growth Pact by adding teeth to enforce budgetary discipline. That includes enhanced surveillance at an early stage, as the EPP rapporteur Jean-Paul Gauzès explains.
Le dispositif fait que la Commission, alertée par...
The provision says the Commission, alerted by some indicators, will propose to the Council measures that will restore the balance or restore situations, and then a negotiation would ensue between the Commission and the Member State or Member States considered for specific measures which are likely to allow a recovery.
qui sont de nature à permettre le rétablissement de la situation.
The report by Gauzès says a member state could be asked to seek financial assistance to avert a crisis, though ultimately it is up to that member state to agree. Reform of the common agricultural policy is another sensitive issue as farmers in new member states demand parity in subsidies with other EU members. The Parliament approved a new payment scheme that's to be more equitable and earth-friendlier. The plan calls for more equally distributed direct payments from a cap totaling about 40% of the EU budget, or about 370 billion euros. It also makes ecological measures, or so-called greening of agriculture, obligatory but flexible by exempting younger and small farmers.
Those of us in the negotiating teams have worked diligently to reflect the issues of concern. So on direct payments, we have attempted to target greening measures to where they will have a real effect. We've decided on a more realistic introduction of ecological focus areas to reflect farming realities. We've worked for results, not news headlines.
The goal is a less bureaucratic agricultural policy for Europe's 14 million farmers that still ensures food safety, affordable prices, and sustainability. Next up, a consumer reform that could make it a lot easier to shop across borders online within Europe. It's called ODR, Online Dispute Resolution. The reform removes a key barrier to Europe's single market. If consumers dispute a purchase online, how do they get their money back without hiring a lawyer? Ruja Thun is the EPP Group's rapporteur of the measure for Online Dispute Resolution, or ODR, approved by the Parliament.
In case of a problem, they have this platform, ODR, that will translate the documents for us, that will contact the other part for you, and that will quickly solve your problem. But this is also important for the business, because on the business side, they can also use the platform, of course, in case they were not paid, for example.
The platform, to be set up by the European Commission, will be accessible on the Your Europe portal. That's europa.eu/Your Europe. The European Parliament elections are just a year away, and in preparation, the MEPs had to reallocate seats. Not an easy task when it's a zero-sum game. Thanks to Croatia's accession to the EU coming in July, and because of changes under the Lisbon Treaty, the Parliament had to decide where to cut seats to accommodate. The compromise solution is based on the principle no one gains, no one loses more than one seat, except for Germany, which loses 3 seats. Rafał Trzaskowski of the EPP Group is co-rapporteur and has bigger plans for later.
My view is that we can have a radical solution only in conjunction with other institutional reforms, most importantly with the weighing of votes in the Council. which is now not up for discussion. We will, however, and I can promise you that, come back to that issue in the near future, where maybe we can have a system which is a little bit more far-reaching.
The Parliament has 754 seats and is to swell to 766 temporarily when Croatia joins. In the long run, the Lisbon Treaty limits the number to 751 members, including the Parliament President. More on elections, this time in Venezuela. After the death of Socialist President Hugo Chavez, the government is planning snap elections. Members of the opposition visiting here wonder just how fair such a vote will be. The Venezuelan opposition that met with EPP MEPs gave a sobering account of the situation back home. Dinora Figuera, head of the Primero de Justicia faction in the Venezuelan parliament, asked for their support to play as watchdogs in the run-up to the vote.
Queremos solicitarle a este grupo parlamentario del Partido Popular.
We ask the EPP group to be observers in this process that is taking place in Venezuela. Be witnesses of an electoral process that risks being manipulated. And without any doubt, the presence of different parliamentarians from different parties will possibly be the opportunity to have cleaner elections or with more guarantees.
La oportunidad de tener unas elecciones más limpias o con mayores garantías.
The EPP is considering the possibility of sending monitors to the election, as it had in previous votes in Venezuela. That's all for now from Strasbourg. See you next week in Brussels. And find out more about the activities of the largest political force in Parliament by checking eppgroup.eu. Until next time, thanks for watching.